Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, again, we can't shake the winter look here, and we take a look at the surface map or the hazards map from the National Weather Service, still seeing those blues and purple shadings here. That freeze warning. We've got frost advisories in place from Minnesota and Iowa, Wisconsin, down into northern Illinois, and then across portions of the eastern Corn Belt, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, down into eastern portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. We look at the surface temperature map here. Again, you see the kind of frontal boundary with the very cold air off to the north and to the east of that. We are starting to warm up slowly across the central plains into parts of the mid-south, and we'll continue that warm up rather rapidly over the next 24 to 48 hours, overspreading much of the Corn Belt. But as we look at temperatures over the last 7 days in terms of a departure from the normal, again, a big blue-purple shading here, indicating a large region where temperatures have been anywhere from 10 to 15, at sometimes 20 degrees cooler than they should be this time of year here in mid-May. Now again, we are going to start to warm that pattern up, and we're also going to start to saturate this pattern. It's been a rather dry pattern across a big chunk of the Corn Belt with some corridors of wetter conditions, and a couple of those, or at least one of which, that really concerns me as we head through the next several days, and that is going to be from the southern plains into portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley here, where again you see some of the blue shading mixing in here. We're looking at the last 14 days departure from normal. You also see some wetter areas here across portions of the northern high plains, with a lot of dryness in between that here across much of the Corn Belt. But looking at saturated soils here, again, from the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley, right across this corridor, and this, just if you're kind of catching where I'm heading with this, is the exact region where we're expecting things to be rather active as we head through the period of Wednesday through Sunday, potentially deeper into next week. So you just look at the week 1 precipitation anomaly forecast here from the GFS. Again, you see that wet corridor here from the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley here, the central Corn Belt, central and eastern Corn Belt, where we're expecting that excess precipitation over the next several days. Additionally, we'll be talking about almost daily chances for at least isolated severe storms across that exact same corridor. We're looking at the threat here on Wednesday, and then here on Thursday, that robust threat on Wednesday across the southern plains, and that begins to expand into the Corn Belt portions of Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois on Thursday. And I expect a very similar corridor to be under the gun here, kind of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. Again, not expecting a widespread severe weather outbreak. I'll talk about why, but definitely a daily, at least isolated chance for some strong storms across that corridor as we wrap up the week and head into the weekend. Now, a quick look at the surface, or the satellite picture here on Tuesday morning. Again, we can see a big swirl out here, a big approaching trough across the Pacific here, off the coast of the west coast here. And that's going to begin sending a series of shortwave troughs, a series of upper-level perturbations across the central U.S. as we head through the next week or so. And again, that's going to lead to the active weather. You notice down across the southern plains, we have quite a bit of thunderstorm activity, and that's associated with a little system kind of cut off from the stronger jet stream winds, and we'll take a look at that here in a moment. But it is kicking off quite a bit of widespread shower and thunderstorm activity across mostly the southern plains heading into the southern U.S., but a couple of our Corn Belt states are tapping into some of that light shower activity. That'd be Kansas, southern portions of Missouri, heading into Kentucky and Tennessee, seeing some of that shower activity this morning. Now here's a look at the jet stream as we get started here on Tuesday. Again, the stronger jet stream flow off to the north. We do have kind of a little disturbance across this region that's tapping into some of that Gulf moisture, kicking off those showers and storms across the southern U.S. As we head through the next couple of days, though, let me see if I can pause this quickly. We'll bring it back. You're heading into Wednesday, into Thursday. You're seeing this trough that has been kind of anchored across the region. You're seeing that begin to lift. Stronger jet stream winds, kind of the heights rising, building this kind of ridge across the central U.S. That's going to help us warm across the Corn Belt quickly as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And that's also going to kind of flip the surface flow out of the south and help us draw moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico. So now we've kind of reversed the flow. We're not bringing cold, dry air in from Canada. We're bringing warm, humid air northward from the Gulf of Mexico. And now we're entering this period where instead of seeing a big trough, or instead of seeing a big ridge across the U.S., what you're seeing is kind of just this zonal east to west flow that's kind of ripply. We've got these little perturbations, these little disturbances within the flow, and each one of these little short waves, each one of these little systems caught in within this flow is going to be have the potential to kick off showers and storms, potentially some severe weather depending on the environment that it's working with. But a very complicated pattern as we head through the weekend here, one with a lot of a lot of these little ripples, a lot of these little short waves, but they're very unfocused, and each model run we get, there's a slightly different look to them, both with the environment they're interacting with down at the ground. I'm talking about how much instability there is, how much warm and moist air there is for them to work with, and then where exactly these little disturbances are going to be located. So a difficult forecast to pin down with a lot of specifics, but we can really cover the overall pattern well. And again, that's one that's going to transition from a very cold pattern here across the central U.S. As we head through the next 24 to 48 hours into a much warmer pattern across the central U.S. as we start to build some ridging in across the central and eastern half of the country. And then as we take it even into next week, there's a potential for a real warm-up across the Corn Belt here, with temperatures potentially much warmer than average as we head into the period beyond May 19th and 20th. Now again, we're talking about surface moisture. We're talking about drawing a lot of moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico. So the pattern over the last 1 to 2 weeks has featured a lot of cooler and drier air coming in from the north, coming in from the Canadian Prairie across the Corn Belt. As we head into the weekend, it starts to change our jet stream alignment. That's going to shift. Now you're seeing the pattern pumping moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico. You remember we've got that wavy, kind of disturbed jet stream over the top of that. And so once again, that is going to set the stage for thunderstorms and heavy rain across this region from the southern plains into the central and eastern Corn Belt as we head into the weekend, potentially beyond that into next week. So let's look a little short term. Let's take a look at the high resolution NAM model. Again, we've got plenty of shower and storm activity well off to the south, with some lighter shower activity associated with a couple little disturbances back toward the northern high plains. As we take it into the afternoon today, let's go ahead and get it to 6 p.m. this evening. Again, that shower activity across Arkansas, southern Missouri, pushing into Kentucky and Tennessee. Maybe a couple thunderstorms across eastern portion or western portions of South Dakota. The real severe weather threat, the more robust thunderstorm threat, begins to kick off as we head into Wednesday afternoon and evening. And that is going to be south of the Corn Belt for the most part on Wednesday evening. That's going to be across portions of Kentucky. Oklahoma. I don't know where Kentucky came from. Oklahoma and Texas. Seeing the chance for some severe storms popping up Wednesday evening. It's then as we head into Thursday, you're seeing kind of the warm front lift northward. You're seeing this pattern begin to kick off as we head into Wednesday night and Thursday, where we'll start to develop multiple rounds of showers and storms across this region. This is what it would look like here at noon on Thursday. So we're just getting started into this pattern. So let's flip it over. Let's look at the European model, and we can take it a little bit deeper into the weekend. So here we are, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening now. This is 6 p.m. I know I cut the date and the time off up here, so I'll do my best here to update you on the timing. As we head into, this will be Wednesday night. Now we're getting into midnight on Thursday morning. Getting now into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. We're seeing this boundary just kind of set up right in this area, and now we're just seeing these daily showers and storms kicking off. Getting into Friday evening now, Saturday. Now it's drier, but it's not dry as you head back toward the high plains, portions of Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Minnesota, especially as we get into next week. It's going to start to kick off in that area more. As we head through the weekend, very concerned about flooding and isolated severe storms across this region. I kind of shift my attention this way as we get into next week. So as we get into maybe Sunday, but then especially Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, that's when we're going to be talking more about areas off to the north and to the west. So let's take it a bit deeper now. We're getting into Sunday, then on into Monday, and you just see the pattern really establishing itself across the region. Another way to visualize this, the European model, again, tries to kind of model lightning activity. And so we're looking at the next 4 days of lightning activity across the region, and you'll see it really honing in on the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley. A lot of lightning activity, again, just expecting multiple rounds of showers and storms across this region in really erratic and fairly disorganized fashion at times. And the reason for that, and why I'm not talking about a more robust and alarming severe weather threat as we head into the peak severe weather season, I got a 4-panel plot up here, and we're looking at Friday up top and Saturday down here. We're looking at the instability on the left. We're looking at the upper level jet stream winds at 500 millibars on the right. And so what you're noticing as we look at Friday, the deepest instability, the strongest instability, our most robust environment is down here across Kentucky. What is going on? Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. I swear, Kentucky, I just want to talk about you this morning. But then we look over to the right, though. Where's the strongest jet stream upper level support? Well off to the north. We're talking about, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois. We get some up overlap here across far northern Illinois, where we got some meager instability overlapped by strong wind shear. And then you head down here, you've got strong instability across the southern plains and very weak wind shear. So when you end up, let's talk about Saturday too, real quick. Looking at the strongest instability once again across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Where's the strongest upper level support? Displaced well to the north. We're talking about South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, where no instability. So we've got a displacement here. When we talk about severe weather, when we talk about tornadoes especially, it's a delicate process. We really need all of those ingredients to be present. And so when I look at the environment here that's going to be producing heavy rain and thunderstorms, let me take my drawings off and just begin to speak broadly. When I talk about this region here from the southern plains into Missouri and Illinois, and be concerned about thunderstorms and heavy rain, we're really talking about the strongest instability though being displaced from the stronger wind shear. And so when we get a really unstable, a really warm and unstable environment, the air really wants to rise and convect and develop into rain showers and thunderstorms, but without the stronger jet stream winds to kind of tilt those updrafts and give them longevity, keep them severe. Instead, we just get these updrafts that go up, they go straight up, they come right back down on top of themselves, spill out their rain-cooled air, and kind of kill the instability across some areas. Sometimes that outflow can kick off new thunderstorms. If it sounds like a confusing process, it's because it is. It leads to one where you've got thunderstorms and showers kind of popping up in erratic fashion, widespread fashion, with no real organized severe weather threats. So if I could just broadly speak about the period Thursday through Sunday, across this corridor, we will see chances for severe storms. At times, there could be a couple of tornadoes. We could see some large hail, some damaging winds. So I certainly don't want to, poo-poo the environment too much, because, there is the chance for some damage to be inflicted by some of these storms. But I'm just not real impressed with the organized fashion or with a real focused intense severe weather threat. I think that as we look at the next 4 days, we're talking much more about flooding rains across this region and a daily disorganized severe weather threat from the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley. And again, we look at the total precipitation forecast here. Again, the potential for 2 to 3 inches of rain. Anywhere you just follow the moisture along the boundary, along that stationary front from the Gulf of Mexico through the southern plains, and then in here through the mid-Mississippi Valley and the eastern Corn Belt. Again, that Gulf moisture just kind of riding up, following that frontal boundary that'll be stalled across the region and interacting with that wavy, kind of disturbed jet stream pattern with the stronger jet stream winds off to the north and the stronger instability down toward the south. So we'll finish we'll look at the high temperatures over the next several days. Again, very, very chilly when compared to normal here. We're talking about 20 to 30 degrees cooler than we should be this time of year. Your highs in Kansas today in the 40s, and that is just brutal. Look at the change by tomorrow, though. Mid-70s across some of those same areas. I believe Dodge City, Kansas, there 47 today, 79 tomorrow, as we start to work this warmer air mass in. And as you look at the eastern Corn Belt, your central eastern Corn Belt, your warm-up arrives on Thursday. So Wednesday, tomorrow will still be in the 50s and 60s, rather cool across this region. Check out what happens, though, as we flip the page to Thursday. We're now in the mid-70s across that region, keeping more seasonally appropriate temperatures in place across the region. You see some cooler shades here, but we're still talking about mid-60s, just a couple of degrees cooler than this time of year, again, as we kind of establish this pattern. As we look at overnight lows then, freezing temperature is going to finally begin to push north out of the Corn Belt as well. Tomorrow we'll still see sub-freezing temperatures across portions of Wisconsin and Michigan, maybe northern and eastern Ohio, but as we head into Thursday and Friday, much warmer overnight lows. We'll see a lot of cloud cover, a lot of precipitation across this region, which could keep things cooler during the day, but it actually works to keep things warmer overnight, keeping temperatures from crashing there with that cloud cover. So overnight lows rather warm, warmer than we're seeing high temperatures today across portions of the eastern Corn Belt, bottoming out just in the upper 50s and lower 60s as we head into the later part of our week for our overnight lows. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again specifically about the Corn Belt on Friday morning.